So in terms of challenges in the tech industry, I think it's what's known as death by a thousand paper cuts.
There was one thing or the other, and it always ended up with people wondering why I was a woman, why I was young, and why I was doing my own thing.
People sort of assume that I am not technical.
It can feel like you are fighting against this believability factor.
It hurts, and it sort of puts this doubt in your own mind saying, should I really not be here?
If I walk into a room and I say that I'm an engineer, and if I don't look the way that a person is expecting me to look, then I kind of have to prove to them that no, I am an engineer and I know what I'm talking about.
That's just the assumption. The default is that women of color can't be technical, aren't technical, and as a result, we get treated like we aren't technical.
And I begin to question myself, and I know that that is absolutely unacceptable, and it is completely untrue.
Being in environments where it's mostly men, where it's mostly white people, there is a psychic toll because I can't be my full self. There's always a little bit of needing to filter. There's always a little bit of a gap between like what I'm actually like and what I can be like. And it's calculus that I do every day. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
So there's no denying the fact that there is gender disparity. I will try and qualify that with my own experience. I really hate this one. When people ask me what I do, even if the implicit context is that everyone there is an engineer, they would always say, like, what do you do?
There's this funny thing that happens when someone goes through that mental shift of realizing that you actually are an engineer, and then they kind of try to make up for it. Oh, good for you, that's so great. Wow, I'm so surprised you're an engineer. Which is such a backhanded compliment because it means, what does that even mean?
The main thing was not having many of my male counterparts treat me the same way.
There are other male friends with me or my husband, and they get asked the same question and they don't receive the same reaction.
It just makes me feel other. It makes me feel like I don't belong.
Their training and their biases and then don't prepare them to encounter the black woman engineer.
There are these tiny microaggressions that happen when people know that you're a person of color. They want to know your origin. They want to know a bunch of things about you that don't really matter when it comes to your work.
It's very tough to explain to someone what you experience if it's not their lived experience because it demands a sense of imagination. Imagine you are nothing like how you are right now.
I've recently had a conversation with a gentleman who asked me, why should I care? Why should I want to change it? What's in it for me?
It's this interesting set of norms that are used to sort of enforce who does well and who doesn't do well in the tech industry.
And as a result, a lot of people end up being hurt, especially women, people of color, people who have different sexual orientations. There should be no one group who gets to say what's in it for me for an industry that is changing the world right now.
The investment you make in diversity and inclusion is in fact an investment.
Everybody talks about diversity and getting people in the door. We measure those numbers. We don't really talk much about the inclusion part. What are you doing to make sure that everybody is included and feels safe and supported and valued in your organization?
It's going to end up in your work atmosphere being better. It's going to end up in healthier teams. It's going to end up in your products being better.
What I really am hoping for is that we as an industry don't participate in or perpetuate the systemic injustices that we see in society today. You can't really build an app for everybody around the world if everybody isn't in the room, right?
Then there's this other side of the tech culture in, let's say, a company like Yelp that is working so hard to make sure that we change the definition of what tech culture means.
I think of openness and collaboration. I think of building things and making sure that we help the community and help the world.
You need lots of different programmers who have different backgrounds and different ideas to come together, and we can make really great products.
Without females, so many of the great work which has been done would not be possible. Females can really change the world, and not just engineering, but in all other aspects, and no one should ever forget that.
I love my job. I love making stuff. I just want, the industry to look more like me. And I think it will. It just will take time.
We are the so-called smartest people in the world. That's what they keep telling us. This is a problem. We can solve it. It is important. If you need to be convinced of that, please feel free to come find me and I'll tell you all the reasons why.